These many people, boy, I see them.
Hello, hello. All right, we're live. Uh, Before we begin, just one
I don't
second.
know.
Uh, all right, good to see a good number of people here. Nice, we got 11 people. Let's do the regular icebreaker, right? So, where's everyone joining from? Me and Emra, we're from Istanbul, Turkey. Catherine here is based in France, little town in the outskirts, right?
Yes.
All right. So, hello everyone. Let's get some chat going. Welcome to our Mastering In-App Surveys and Feedback webinar. I'm Jude. If you've joined our other webinars, you're very much familiar with my face by now. So I'll be moderating the webinar today, and we're thrilled to have two amazing speakers. We have Catherine Jones, who is the product manager at commercetools, and our Emra Aydin, who is our product marketing manager here at UserGuiding, and he's had experience being a product manager here as well. So for today's session, we're going to talk about how product managers can use surveys and feedback to make smarter product decisions. So we'll be diving into different types of surveys, how to analyze them, and when to act when you get user feedback, and how it's able to shape your product's future. So whether you're just getting started with surveys, or you're looking to level up your strategy, so we hope you'll find some actionable insights here. So before we jump in, we're going to be doing a couple of polls during the session, some engagement polls, and I think they're going to be very interesting as well for you guys. The event today, it's going to take about 45 minutes with a little bit of, depending on the Q&As as well, maybe stretching it to 50, maximum 55 minutes. But of course, at the end of the day, we want you to get the most amount of information. It's mostly going to be conversational, but we want to showcase some examples. And, at the end of the webinar, we want you to truly understand what surveys can bring to you if you're a product manager, or even if you're just a product person as well. So not just specifically product manager. So just looking at the answers here, we got people from the US, Florida, which is why we have this time, why we have webinars during this time, so we can also tailor to people on the Eastern Hemisphere. Some Brazil, and yes, Mariana, this is being recorded. So we can begin with the first engagement poll just to get the conversation started. All right. Let's display it here. So basically let's display. So how often do you collect user feedback in your product? I'll keep this running for a couple of minutes. All right, just so we can also understand, what you guys are looking for when it comes to this conversation. It's going to encompass a lot of information. Awesome. All right. So first of all, maybe we can introduce our speakers for today. As I said, my name is Jude, and we have Catherine here. Catherine, do you want to say hi? Awesome. Oh, sorry, I think you're muted, or?
Yes,
Oh, there
I
we go.
clicked the button and then I unclicked it and then I re-clicked it again. It was a little slow to react. So yes, hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the Senior Product Manager at commercetools. I'm based in France, as Jude said. I'm not French, though. I'm originally from New Zealand, but have spent most of my career in London. And I moved to France about 6 years ago.
Lovely. Nice. Just a random question. How long have you been a product manager? Because senior, it's nice.
About 6 or 7 years. So I was a technical writer at I have a weird career history. So I started,
as we all, to be honest.
Pretty much, yeah. So I started in TV sales, advertising, and then I went into TV scheduling at Sky TV in the UK. I interviewed people and celebrities for YouTube. I've done product management and technical writing for that same company, and then I went into a startup that was called Fantastic, where I was hired as the technical writer, and then I moved into product ownership and product management with them.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean that's an amazing journey. I mean, me as a person who has also done so many different things. I mean, at the end of the day, it's I don't know. Maybe during these times that we're living in, it's very difficult to just like be focused on one thing because everything is changing. I mean, I don't want to bring up like AI now because it's like everywhere, but now you have like new jobs that are just specifically for AI. So I think it's very natural to have this. But yeah, I'm very excited to hear about your expertise, your the strategies that you've been implementing, the surveys on commerce tools. Emra, can you tell us about you as well?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone. So my name is Emre. I'm a product marketing manager at UserGuiding. I am at UserGuiding for just a little over 4 years now, and I've been a product marketing manager just a little over for just a little over 1 year. And before that, I was a product manager at UserGuiding. And yeah, I have a weird career path as well, just like Catherine. Like by training, I'm actually a translator, an interpreter. But then I decided to like pursue other careers, and then I worked at an ad agency, advertising agency, and then like some event agencies, and then I've started a mobile gaming company with my friends, and that's actually when I got into product stuff. I've handled all the product stuff there, and there were 2 other friends of mine, and they handled all the technical and development work there. And then, like as most of the startups go, we failed, and then I moved on to working for UserGuiding after that.
No pain, no gain, right? Like, but at least
Exactly.
you learned the skills, and not to add to that pot of skills, but I mean, right now I think it's a flex a little bit, right? Like you have multiple things that you're experienced at, and
Yeah,
then at some point,
it always helps.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, thank you guys for jumping in on this webinar today. Just looking at the polls here, I'm gonna stop it and I can display it just out of curiosity. So about half of the people here, they collect feedback from users in the product weekly, which is a very interesting number, I would say. A little bit surprised from this because I don't know, Emra, what do you think of the like best practices, or how often should people, or how do companies collect feedback on? Is it usually like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, it is actually. Like most of our, I mean, I wouldn't say collecting weekly because, like, for example, for that question, I would have a really hard time to put an answer because we run a lot of different types of feedback surveys or other types of surveys for our users. So, but I would say we check those feedbacks, check those surveys, and check the reports and check the insights weekly on a weekly basis for any type of like urgent stuff or like bright ideas or like maybe like quick wins.
Yeah.
But mainly on a monthly basis, we dive deep into the like the whole data we collect, whether it's qualitative or quantitative.
Yeah.
We dive deep monthly into the data we collect from the surveys. So, like in terms of collection, we continuously collect feedback. But in terms of like analyzing those data, I would say some like likely weekly, but in detail monthly.
Makes sense, because like you would need to check it maybe like on a monthly basis, seeing how everything's doing. I mean, we're definitely gonna dive deeper into this throughout the conversation. Before we begin with some of the interview questions, some of the conversations here and there, I wanted to talk about first, here, I'll display it. Overall, what can surveys do to product people? And I'm generalizing it a little bit, so not to just like exclude anyone else, like product marketers or customer support, or just marketers. If you are involved with a product, then this should be relatable to you as well. So what can surveys actually do to product people, including product managers? So what I will say is, we came up with, it's basically, there's 5 main points for how you're able to derive those feedback that you're getting from the surveys and turn them into like actionable, basically action items. So this way it also helps you with developing the product that you have, but also while maintaining that user retention, user satisfaction, adoption, and engagement. So we have 5 main points here, and I'll go through to break them down right now, so this way you can have an idea, and then later on we can talk about some of the examples that Catherine and Emra use on their product with the in-app surveys. So first off, we have the data-driven product strategy and roadmap. So firstly, those surveys are able to give like product managers direct user insights, right? So you gather, instead of like gathering and guessing what the users want, the surveys let you gather those feedbacks, and you can implement them, display them to gather points about like the pain points, some feature requests, some satisfaction, and these feedbacks then help you prioritize the features, and they would align with what your users would need, right? Because you're basically getting this information firsthand from them. So by taking this information, you're able to then manifest it into a data-driven roadmap, and this way it solves some problems, and then you're able to boost your user satisfaction and retention. The second one next is, surveys are also great for measuring user satisfaction, as I said. So by assessing like, your product market fit, and by tracking metrics like NPS, so Net Promoter Score, which I'll display an example later on, you're able to understand like the customer satisfaction, and this way PMs can also determine if their product is meeting the user expectation, and later on then you can make improvements according to that feedback that you're getting, and this way you ensure that your product is evolving with the user's needs. Service could also help you with, like, as I said, like with continuous improvement. So you're able to also uncover some challenges of what's working, what's not working for your users. And then you can go back and change a little bit. Maybe it could be a part of the onboarding, maybe some of the experience, some side of your product is a little bit buggy. So once you get this feedback, then you and change it, then of course it's going to help with that user retention metric. Because this way, then you're addressing some of the issues, and you'll be able to improve it in a long-term way. The fourth is like optimization, optimizing the user experience and personalization. So with surveys, you're also able to segment users. So based off of their preferences, based off of what they've engaged with. So it allows product managers to personalize that experience. So then it also leads to like, a better engagement, higher satisfaction. The users understand that the feedback that they're giving, it's being heard. And later on, of course, like I'll also display some great examples that we are using as well for this specific case. And it's really interesting to see how you're able to not just get like display a survey and get feedback, but then later on make it into something a little bit more engaging directly with your users. Last but not least, they don't just benefit product people, right? So you can, because it's data and it's directly coming from users, then it is also valuable to be shared across teams. So for marketing, for sales, for customer support, customer success as well. So then you're able to ensure that everyone is aligned. We all understand how the users are experiencing our product. You're understanding the feedback, real feedback from it, and then you can foster better collaboration and create more strategic decisions based off of the product and the roadmap, as we mentioned throughout these points. The session will be recorded, so you will be able to see this slide here. But of course, feel free to take a screenshot as well if you'd like to kind of enhance your users, your survey and user strategy as well. All right. Before jumping in, let's get another poll running. How about that? So let's disable this. All right, so what kind of survey do you currently use most? So we have a couple. We got the NPS, as I mentioned. We have feature feedback, external or email, or maybe you're not using it yet. And maybe it's better to display some examples. So let me show here. So we have these types that we provide as templates on user guiding. So you can, thumbs up, thumbs down, have a little 5-star there, collect support tickets or feature requests, right? Some others like, measuring the NPS, as I talked about. You can even leave it open-ended. So there's also best practices for these things, which we'll dive deeper into. Deflecting churning users, and then you can also create your own template. And there's lots of ways to create like really advanced surveys but then later on kind of manifest it into, as I said, something more actionable for the users. Let's display it back here. Let's see the results. All right, we got some NPS, we got some external email. I'm very curious to know how those like external surveys are performing. So if it's an email, if it's from another form, for the people that clicked on it, please write in the chat, like, how do you think it's performing? Could it be done better? Is it working? Is it not? And if you're using another solution, which one would it be? Because surveys are not just an app, right? You have like those external ones. You can also do some user interviews to understand. But of course, what we found to be the best performing ones are usually like in-app surveys, because there are so many points and benefits for receiving this information. Awesome. All right, I'll stop the poll here and we can jump into our questions. All right, so Catherine, we can begin with you. How about that? No pressure.
Sure.
Yeah, awesome. So at your company, commercetools now, so what types of surveys are you guys currently using, and how long have you been implementing it? So I'll give some examples. So you got like the user satisfaction surveys, some feature feedback, or would it be something else?
What I found most interesting about that poll actually is we use it mostly for feature feedback. So we do also have what we call a customer engagement score. So we've created our own one, which is a 5-star rating, and then afterwards we get some feedback based on that. But we've also tried the Net Promoter Score surveys. But where I find the most value for us, obviously it's totally dependent on what product people are using and if they're going to B2B, B2C, or direct to consumer as well. Like it's totally up to that. But for me, it's we're mainly focused on our users who use our tool. So a bit of background is that I'm the product manager for what's called commercetools Frontend, which is our frontend as a service. And as part of that product, we have a tool that's called the Studio, and that Studio is where we mainly utilize user guiding. And so it will be.
Yeah.
So
is that where most of the engagement happening is, in that space?
For certain types of users, yes. And so this is like it's an interface that people can work with and how they do their job. So that's why NPS doesn't always work for us, because it's sometimes our users don't have a choice about the tool that they're using. You know, their company has decided that this is the tool that they're going to use, so you have to use it. So, you know, saying, are you going to recommend this to a colleague? It's like, well, kind of course I have to, because it's what we do in our business. So that's not really valuable for us. But understanding how much they like using our product or how easy it is for them to do our job is more valuable for us. And the only caveat with that kind of stuff, though, is we tend to only get responses from those that are either extremely unhappy or extremely happy. The ones in the middle, we don't tend to get responses from, because I guess they're happy enough and they'd rather not interact with those services. But that's why I say then when we have new features and we've released something, I tend to set up a feature feedback survey at the end of it. So once they've kind of started using it, so I set up a user group that is related to those that have gone through the onboarding of the feature. And then a few days after they've finished that, I'll then show them a survey saying, hey, how do you like this feature? Do you use it? Do you think it's valuable? And then trying to get more insight that way. And like also, like, how can we improve it or make it even better in the future? And we also sometimes put up surveys around like AI. Everyone's talking about AI, well, the state we have to. And so we were trying to get an understanding of how our customers would want to use AI in our tool, because sometimes it won't work with how they are working. So we wanted to get their feedback and if they'd find it valuable or not, for us to be able to make a product decision and of which way to go forward with because we don't have time to talk to all of our customers as well. So that's been super helpful, and we've had a really good response rate on that, especially compared to our customer engagement score. So yeah, we use it quite often.
No, that's amazing. I mean, what you've mentioned here so far is like the use case where NPS would not be effective as a product manager, right? So then you would rather take it in a more, or at least like implement something that you would find more value in, which is, as you said, like for that like feature feedback. And plus, like you segmented it for those ones that they've completed the onboarding or that they are on that specific page. So also you're getting data that is quite like valuable because it's from like qualified people that would provide their like actual feedback. It's not just like, yeah, like, you know, click on it and I just want this survey to stop popping up on my face. But it's actually people that, you know, they've engaged with it. I had a follow-up question as well. So you've segmented it. How have you then like used that data for, like, do you have any examples of cases where like you've asked this question and then, you know, you created
Yes, we had one recently where we released this feature. We tested everything thoroughly, like you usually do, and put it into the wild. And then we did our onboarding product tour of it through user guiding as well. And then we had this thing saying, oh, well, we implemented this feature thanks to customer feedback. Do you have anything else that you would like to give us through this? And we had a variety of responses. And one of those was actually like, well, this feature doesn't work. And so we were confused by that because obviously we tested everything and thought, you know, this feature works. What do you mean? And so then we actually went and investigated and found that for that particular customer, there was an issue. And so because of that feedback, we were able to find a bug that might have actually affected other customers too, which they wouldn't have told our support team that it wasn't working, or then they didn't. So that we found it through the survey and the feedback through that. So we can get total actionable things and fix the issues that they're having. And obviously then they get the value of answering the feedback because they can see that we're responding based on that. So they're feeling heard. And so then they're more likely to answer more surveys or give more feedback in the future, which is valuable for us, but also valuable for them because then they get the features implemented.
That's amazing. Because like this specific case, one is because you've already displayed some type of like, you're open to receiving feedback. This is already like a green flag as an end user. And the second is like how do I say this? my mind went blank. But yeah, I like you're able to because you're checking those responses like on a frequent basis, then you're able to kind of tackle that issue. And thirdly is because if they were to go and report it, it's going to take them so many steps, right, to go through that process of reporting. For example, we haven't seen this feature, but you're displaying it inside the app, so which makes it much easier for them, because we also, I believe, we do have a little like bug or template where it's like, if there's a bug, just report it here. They'll type what issue they have, and then support can respond to that. So that's another great case for that. Emra, let me just switch it here with Emra here. So based off of like Catherine's points, I'm curious to understand from your side, like, what do you think are like some key moments that you would recommend for like triggering surveys in the user's journey, whether it's like a new user and during their onboarding, or later on?
Yeah, well, of course, it depends on like what type of survey are you thinking about triggering. Like, for example, for like feature feedback ones, you have to make sure that the person you're asking the questions have at least tried out the feature. So you can either do that the way Catherine does, so you can like condition the survey to trigger after the certain guide that is walking the user through the new feature, because then you are sure that like, because that guide is completed, you are sure that like that user have at least taken a look at the feature. But you can also do it like by utilizing custom data, like custom events and stuff. That way you can either like, you can even be sure that like a certain segment of users have reached to a certain adoption level. If it's a complex feature, let's say like you have an email solution, but you want to ask for feedback from the users that have created at least 3 emails, because then you are sure that like they have given it a try and they are serious about that feature. You can even do that, and it's always best to go into specifics while conditioning your surveys, because it will always result in better response rates, and the feedback given will always be much more helpful or insightful.
Yeah. Would you recommend, because what I'm thinking is like there's 2 scenarios in my head where people might want to keep it like as like generalized, right? So for everyone that like, for example, they visited 3 pages, for example, or they've done 1, 2, 3 action, should they kind of have that, and then, as Catherine did, for example, like be more specific and narrow down, the number of people that get to see the survey and respond to it, or should it be a little bit of both?
I mean, I think it should be both. Then again, like I said, it definitely depends on the type of survey that you want to run. If you want to run an NPS survey, you don't have to segment that much, because you want to get as much responses as you can from all the people that have tried out or used your product. So for NPS, like you have to basically target all users. But in order to, of course, again, in order to improve your response rates, like you said, like for example, what we do is like we ask every 3 months. We trigger the RMPS survey to the same user every 3 months. And if that user doesn't answer the survey, and we ask again in 20 days. Well, we actually got to the 20 days point by testing it out. We tested out like 5 days, 10 days, like a month, 2 months. and we kind of found out that like 20 days, around 20 days is the sweet spot. And we also want to trigger our NPS survey after a user visits at least 3 or 4 pages after logging on to the platform. Because like if you pop that survey up as soon as they log on, the response rates will be horrible, basically, because they have something in their mind that they have a task to complete on your platform, and that's why they logged in. If you pop that question in, it will most certainly be dismissed. So we, like I said, we at least wait for them to go through 3 or 4 pages, and sometimes we even like segment our NPS to certain other conditions, like session times and like also days after sign up, for example. So we only ask NPS questions to people who have signed up at least 50 days ago to the platform. So we give them like a 1 or 1.5 months to get used to the platform and try to get value from our solution. And then we ask NPS questions, and that helps us kind of refine the results as well.
How long did it take you to kind of find that, like a lot of like trial and error?
Yeah,
of
probably.
understanding?
Yeah, probably like, I don't know, at least a couple of years.
Yeah, right. Because
Yeah.
if you're going to display like sorry, like every 3 months or so, it's you're gonna need some time. But then also like taking this data and analyzing it, because of course like you're able to see the response rate, the view rate, and how people are responding to it, and comparing that like with the percentage. Then it's a lot of like trial and error for that. And you've answered 2 of my like questions that I had in mind, which is one is like how do you ensure that surveys don't disrupt the user experience, and making it feel natural. And do you think it's different, for example, for trial users? Should you display any, if you have a trial, for example, on your platform, should you display any feedback, or should you wait until, if they're converted, because you might miss out on some feedback regarding their onboarding experience in the initial phase. So what do you recommend for this?
I mean, I would recommend if you want to ask any type of questions, if you want to run any type of surveys for the trial users only, I would definitely recommend to keep it separate from the subscribers or subscribed users rather. For trial users, I would definitely recommend to run a different survey with different like reports on it. But we do not run any surveys for, at least for like feedback or NPS surveys for trial users, except for a feedback, or rather a sentiment survey for their initial onboarding. It's just a tool for us to refine our own onboarding experience.
Yeah.
So based on the feedback left on there. But other than that, we do not ask lots of questions to the trial users. And yeah, that's pretty much it. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat. How are we going to
Yeah.
do this?
So we'll
Like,
answer those at the end. I'm looking at them as well. So we do
Okay.
have, I mean, we can take some time actually to answer them right now. So we can begin with Tina's question. So she says, when conducting NPS surveys, what is the best practice for when to redisplay if they close out? Also, how do you get a higher response rate?
Yeah, I kind of like,
Yeah.
I think answered that one while talking about how we run our own NPS survey. Like the best way to improve the response rates is always to try out new things, like little differences. The way you ask questions might differ, and you might even try out like different looks on the NPS survey, Like you can, I mean, you will be surprised to see that like a blank white background survey will probably perform worse than a like an eye-catching orange one, and you will be surprised. I mean, I would encourage to try out new things one at a time and see if it improves the response rates. And like I said, another way to improve the response rate is to basically put a buffer between the time a user logs into the platform and then is presented the NPS survey. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess.
But it also differs, I think, for each platform and each user type, because let's say you have a platform where users have to log in on a daily basis. It's,
Yeah, definitely.
you know, it's going to be a little bit different. So I think, Tina, like you'll need to test it, but I guess, yeah, from Emma's perspective, because you also, user psychology comes into play as well, where at the end of the day, you know, if we see surveys popping up every 3 days, there's something called like survey fatigue. I was like, come on, man, like, you know, I signed up to do these actions, but you keep asking me the same question, or, you know, keep asking me for like feedback questions and these things. There's something we didn't touch up on actually as well. I'll open the other questions soon as well. But follow-up questions. So when you display one question, because this is something that we have in user guiding as well, and what we've been using, and we'll show an example of it later on. But there is also this type of logic, right? So first off, you can display multiple questions. So it doesn't even need to be the same question. So for example, if you want to have like a measure onboarding satisfaction one, and then in response to it, for example, if they scored 3 or lower, then you can display an open-ended one. The user is already like willing to give their feedback in that time. So I think another good practice would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine and Emra, but because they're already in that, they're set on that phase of, you know, okay, right now we'll provide the feedback. It's better to collect, not, of course, like not as much feedback as possible. I'm not telling you to go and add everything, but, you know, maybe narrow it down to like maximum 3 feedbacks right away, just to get, as Catherine had mentioned, you know, displaying the survey that would, you know, you can get the most amount of information from, quality information, and then even based off of that, you can have logic. So if they scored 3 and above, you know, you don't have to give a follow-up feedback. You can just give a pop-up of like, you know, thank you for answering the survey, and that's it. Or if it were to be lower, you can give a, you know, a follow-up. So you can direct them in different paths based off of what they're providing.
I can follow up on that. So we've done that for our customer engagement score, that we, if you score a 5 or a 4, we give you a question that's, you know, that's great. What can we do to make it even better? Because obviously, like, they are engaged, they're happy with our product. So, but, you know, there are always feature requests that they might want to give. So it's the opportunity because they're there. But if they score 1 to 3, it's like, okay, well, what is the one thing we could improve to make you score it higher? And then they can also give their feedback and that. But we try to limit it to a score and a feedback, and that's it. Because I think 3, it might be too much of an ask
It's
for
too
some
much,
people.
right?
I know it'd be too much for me if I kept getting that. So like 2 is good, and you have it kind of short and sweet is always a good thing, and concise. Always just ask one question and try to make it so that it can be open-ended if it's a written one. And yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny, because I had this scenario in my head where it's like, well, it was a 4 stars before you know, bombarded me with all these questions. Now it's like a 2 star. I do have a question for you actually as well, like a follow-up. If you've tested it, we have those like the open-ended one and the ones where you're able to like multi-select. If you've tried both of them, because what I'm thinking is like, which one would have like a higher response rate? Because also people typing in, it takes more like energy from them to like type it out, but you also do get a better response, direct response from what they're thinking, as opposed to having like multi-option selection, but probably you're also gonna get more response for it.
That's a good point, actually, and I haven't tried that out. Maybe I'm gonna set up a new thing where it will be like a optional thing. What is the most important thing for us to fix for you to give it a high score, and give them 3 options and then an other field or something, and then they are free to pick that or not.
Exactly. Rabia also had a question similar to Tina's. She had the same question, but also she was wondering, what kind of triggers are standard? This is a very broad question, because I think it would differ for like every product and every use case and user type. But I mean, for you, Catherine, like which one would you think as a product manager? Just thinking product manager. Type.
It depends on what kind of feedback that you're wanting to get. And so like if you're talking about the customer engagement score, NPS, it would kind of be like we've already talked about, a certain number of pages you've visited and a certain amount of time that you've been using the tool. So you wouldn't show an NPS for someone that it's their first web chat session, for example, and they've only visited 2 pages, because they're not going to know yet. So it really depends on what it is. Like, so for the feature one, sometimes it's a trigger if they visit a particular page and then they go to another page. Maybe that's when you go, okay, when they visit that page is when I want to show them the survey about the previous page, so that you know that they've spent some time there before you trigger that. Also, if they've seen a different survey, don't trigger a new survey. So making sure they're not seeing multiple surveys all the time. So we try to segment everything as much as possible to make sure we're not disrupting their job, and to make sure that they can still get it done, but get the information they need.
Emma, did you have any ideas for this as well? Like standards?
Yeah, I mean, I agree totally with Catherine, but there's actually another way that we use surveys. I mean, there's another trigger that we use for surveys, which is like a kind of like a manual triggering. So we kind of implement, let's say we rolled out a new feature, right? We kind of implement what looks like a text link on the bottom of the feature page, and on the click of that text link, so text basically says something like, share your feedback about this new feature of ours, something like that. And on the click of that that text link, we basically trigger the feedback, the feature specific feedback survey, and that helps a lot as well, especially with like response rates, because it's like it's not auto triggered, but it is still kind of like in your face when someone's checking out the new feature page. So if they are willing to provide the feedback, whether it's positive or negative, it still helps a lot with the response rates and the number of feedbacks we collect, actually. So
that's a sweet spot, like in the middle, where it's like not automatic, but it's still displaying, but also gives control to the user to respond whenever they want to.
Yeah.
Awesome. I know we're running a little bit short on time. We might extend it for like 5-10 minutes. Catherine, is it okay with you? I know you have a meeting to do. Yeah, cool. All right, we got some like nice questions going on. So here's one from Rachel. So she asks, can I launch a survey based on specific user interactions, or either a guide or an application feature, so it only launches for specific scenarios? We've kind of answered that, right, Emra? Like,
yeah,
it's
definitely. You can, we actually do that with the JavaScript API, with the help of JavaScript API of user guiding. So there's a certain command that would trigger the JS command that would trigger the survey. So we basically use that on the click of like any element on the page or any type of other action. You can set it up, but it requires a little bit of developer effort as well. But you can also set the survey to trigger based on the user actions, a custom user actions, either custom user events or user attributes that you send out to user guiding.
Oh,
So
sorry.
it is definitely possible.
Awesome. We're getting many questions here. We might not be able to answer all of them, but let's see. There's another one here from Pallavi, and I think we kind of answered this one as well. Where what would be the ideal time to send off a survey for a newly launched feature? All right. So let's say I don't know. For us, for example, like Emra, I know we've recently launched like our AI chatbot. Do we have a survey for that, or not
Yeah.
yet, or do we plan?
Yeah, we do. Like I said, the way we do it is instantly.
Instantly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to launch. By instantly, I mean like you are not sending it off. If it's an in-app survey, you are triggering it. So if you mean like Pallavi, if you mean that when to trigger the survey, I would say it is when you make sure that the user have at least given the new feature a try. So you can either do that with the way Catherine does. You can trigger the survey right after the walkthrough is complete, or you can either do that with the custom attributes or custom events.
Awesome. And I think this is going to be the last question we can answer from Walid here. How do we convince power users to engage with a feature feedback survey or validation? I've tried most of the options and tricks, but I rarely get any responses unless I reach out offline and collect feedback by myself. I think same thing that what Emra had mentioned as well, where you can add like a hotspot or a link to trigger a guide.
Yeah, I mean, in our case, it helps to not auto-trigger the feedback surveys, but rather have the user that is willing to give feedback to trigger the survey themselves. So it helps a lot. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I cannot think of anything other than testing out the things that I've said, like constantly iterating the types of questions you ask, or like the timing of the survey, or maybe the targets of the survey, the segments of the survey, or maybe the look of the survey. You can never know what will be the right fit for your users.
Because you can literally tweak anything, and then
Yeah.
you'll see that it has an effect on the response rate.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't make sense, but that's
Yeah, psychology, right? Awesome. So before we log off, this has been a great session. We wanted to display an example. There's a little screenshot, screen recording of us, like user guiding, how we've been able to use our own survey to increase the activation of our knowledge base. So I will display out the first example here. So you see, we're providing two options. Yes, we have we want to try out the knowledge base, and the second option is no, we already have a knowledge base somewhere else. And when they answer the survey, it activates a guide. So this is some segmentation, some targeting that we've used to kind of walk them through the activation of a knowledge base. Here, I'll display it again.
Yeah, this is kind of like an alternative usage of in-app surveys, not for feedback, but for promotional purposes, I would say. Like we have a kind of a new feature called knowledge base. So like we are able to segment our users based on their adoption of our knowledge base solution. But the ones that haven't adopted our knowledge base solution yet might already be using other solutions for their knowledge base. So they might already have knowledge bases, but might be using maybe native knowledge bases or like other third-party tools for knowledge bases. So but we have to promote our own solution by segmenting these basically two user types. The ones that don't have a knowledge base anywhere, from the ones that have a non-user guiding knowledge base. So for that, we basically prompt the survey, and we ask them that, like, are you interested, something along the lines of like, are you interested in like providing self-service help through a knowledge base? And the options under that survey are yes, basically yes, show me how. So that way we know that they haven't tried the knowledge base before. So we basically show them around. We trigger a guide that will walk them through how to create a knowledge base with UserGuiding. But if they pick the second option, which is that, no thanks, I already have a knowledge base. We know that they are using knowledge base, but we also know that they are not using knowledge base on UserGuiding. So we basically promote them, walk them through how to import their other externally knowledge base into UserGuiding. So we basically show them two different promotions, two different like feature promotions, but we're basically targeting the same group, if that makes sense. We also utilize the survey to segment them along the way.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we've been testing it, we've been doing it, and you know, what do they say? Like we don't just like we don't talk the talk, we walk the walk as well. So like everything that we've been promoting as well, we use it firsthand. I added a link in the chat, a little feedback form. So if you have any idea of the future webinars, what you would like to see, we have different cases. But this way we'd also love to hear from you firsthand as well. There isn't an in-app survey here, unfortunately, but if there was, we would have displayed it by now. And finally, as for next steps, of course, in the follow-up email, you'll get the recording. There's a little gift for beginning with the surveys. You can test it out for free for a month, and you can also get a meeting with Emra just to have a conversation, 20-30 minutes, try to understand not just surveys, but you can also understand more about like your onboarding, your product adoption, retention. But if you'd like to understand more regarding our survey feature, then please, you can also take some time from him as well. Awesome. Thank you, guys. This has been an amazing, honestly, it was really fun. And I hope you enjoyed it and hope everyone found it insightful. Any final remarks? Catherine and Irma, any advice you would give for other product managers?
Test and learn. That's it. Keep trying different things, seeing how it works, adapting based on the data you get back, and just keep trying it out. Because the more feedback you get, the better product you have.
Data-driven, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I agree. I mean, even a bad feedback or like, or I would say bad quality feedback or like little feedback is always better than no feedback and being in the dark completely. So, and that's I guess that's the worst fear
The wrap up.
of that person, being in the dark.
Product people. All right. Thank you everyone for joining. we'll have in the next 2 months, we have a lot of webinars coming, and some of them are conversational as well, just like this one. Some of them are like product demos and group demos. So make sure, you can hit me up for these things, but on our page here for Get Contrast, you can, see all the upcoming webinars as well, and we'll send you emails. All right. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.